Hey guys, thank you for joining us on Talking Sense today. As you can see, we've got Chad Roller over here to do today's episode. And we were just sitting here a moment ago talking about vacations and how we've got those coming up. My family's getting to go on our first vacation for like 7 years. So we're really excited about that. But we also want to kind of take this and talk about what vacations do and how that can apply to your financial journey. But before we get into all of that, I would love to just kind of share, like, what's your favorite vacation type or vacation spot? What does that look like for your family?
Before I get into that, I think you could pay for your next vacation if you'll just video this vacation.
That's
If you'll just take the GoPro and just go live, or maybe
you're not wrong.
Just video this vacation. I think you will probably make enough off of that in order to take on the new vacation.
You're not wrong. I've got them ranging from 17 to 5. So there's a lot of opportunity. And then you add in my husband. There's a lot of opportunity for interesting home videos that could win us, $10,000.
Yeah, Mary Explaining Home Videos.
I guess I say that, but probably it would be me. I'm going to end up being the one that face plants in the water. Although I do believe we have a video.
Oh yeah, there is video of
either face or backside.
Yes. That was one of those discounted skim boards that I purchased on 50% off, and it was well worth the money. So yeah, speaking of vacations, we've had some highlights, but that was last year, but I'm up at it again. But favorite vacation spot. I think we could kind of break this down into maybe if I was doing a personal vacation or a family vacation. So obviously family vacation, you got to have something for the kids to do. So a lot of times I would say favorite spot would be the beach. That usually gives them the most things to do. But if I was just going to say me personally, outside of a hunting trip, that would be
very manly choice.
That would be my ultimate vacation. But I would say maybe snow skiing. That would be a good.
Have you been snow skiing?
I have, several times. Yeah.
Okay. The idea of being cold on purpose for me is a little challenging. I've been skiing once. My shins were killing me less than 24 hours into the trip. So I know I need to do some sort of prep if I'm ever going to do that again. And I did get to see my husband do the whole like end over end spinning thing coming down the hill. So had I had a camera out, that could have been a good moment for us.
Yeah.
He survived it. He's fine. For me, I'm going to say the beach too. And whether it's me by myself or me with my kids, there's something about the sound of those waves, just the ability to just sit and be. I can do that at the beach where I can't a lot of other places. So, and that's really what vacations for me are. It's a chance to get out of my norm and recharge, get kind of refilled, take a break from my day-to-day, and restore. And I was thinking about this in writing this topic. What if we did that approach when it comes to our finances? Take time to step away from the mayhem of the day-to-day and focus on something for a short period of time. Because when you think about vacations, they don't last forever. They are just a chance to kind of step out of your norm. And then you focus on your needs when you're on vacation, usually a lot more than you do in your day-to-day. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but like I'll ignore my need for rest. I'll ignore my need for good food, and just to get through the week with kids and sports and things like that. But when I'm on vacation, I usually focus on those things. So I don't know. That was kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah, I mean, vacations are great, right? I mean, we do a lot of planning for vacation. And sometimes we compare planning vacation. People spend more time planning vacations than we do for retirement, right? So we use that analogy some. But, vacations are that opportunity to kind of recharge, step away out of your normal environment, because obviously, if you're just at home, you're going to find something that needs to be done, right? Sometimes it's good just to drive away.
Well, and what COVID taught me is when I'm home too long, I end up getting a little Amazon happy because I'm like, ooh, I need to solve this problem. It's making me crazy that I've not had any issue with for years.
Yeah. But the routine of the daily life, it's good to step away from that. And I think that's what we're trying to explain here today is sometimes you've got to step away of the routine of life and spend some time on, focusing on your revamping of your goals, financial goals. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Maybe there's some daily activities that you're getting caught up in and you don't realize that I'm doing this day in and day out. And so those things add up over time.
Yes. And my husband and I are actually going through a little bit of this. One of them I talked about was like short-term trips. You go on these short-term trips. For the next 30 days, we've committed to a particular goal that, we're going to connect on something that we've noticed is out of balance in our financial life. So that we can get it back into balance. So we're not saying, okay, we're going to do this forever because we know our life and our kids and we're a little busy. But, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, I had one client who, and I hate to use Starbucks as the example because I know a lot of people go, oh, Dave Ramsey, but it was their thing. It was the thing that they were doing every single day that was creating chaos in their finance. And I said, what if you just committed for 30 days to not go and to make your coffee at home or at work? And so if you can tell yourself, I can do anything for 30 days. Like a lot of times, if it's a short period of time, we can go, okay, I can do that. What he found was by the end of that, he actually enjoyed making his coffee at home. And so he wasn't stressed about the idea of not getting to go to Starbucks any longer. He'd built that habit, and he actually enjoyed sitting and talking with his wife instead of being on the road, and because he had to get up a few minutes early to do it anyway. And so if it serves you well, you can just carry it on, and it can be part of your new habits. I've had some clients who they commit to not eating out but once a week for 30 days. And they were like, yeah, that was not realistic, because we have kids in sports and we have these other things. So they came up with a different way of doing their budget where that was accounted for a little better, more reasonable goal.
Yeah. So hold your seat here. If you can believe this, tomorrow will be 30 days without me drinking a Dr. Pepper.
What?
So I've not had a Coke in 30 days. So I'm
okay.
I'm living this out, right?
Yeah.
I'm living this out.
Okay. So talk to me about how it was day 1 versus how it was day 30.
I don't want to think about it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do think anybody can, create better habits by sticking with it. And then maybe not just going back to, that's my idea now is that, hey, at some point, yeah, I'm probably going to have another Dr. Pepper because I like Dr. Pepper, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be daily.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the idea here is that these short-term goals, short-term changes that you make, you try to transition that into where it's not just a daily activity. So going and get spending the money on the Starbucks maybe transitions from a daily thing or whatever that may be to maybe just a once a week.
Right.
And creating those lifestyle habits over time that really kind of help you get ahead.
Which I did that with 7 Brew because there was, after 7 Brew opened, I may or may not have developed a little bit of an addiction to it. I'm not going to, lie here. What I did was I told myself, okay, I can have it on Tuesdays because Tuesdays you get double points. And so often on Tuesday, I'm not in the mood for it. It saved me a lot because if I'm not picking it up any other day of the week, I have to have made a trip Tuesday or I don't get it at all. So, sometimes it's just about creating boundaries. And that may be that if you've never used a budget, maybe you just decide that for the next 30 days, you're going to track your expenses to decide what your dollars are being spent on so you can get that budget created. I think taking those minor steps can help you and understanding that it's a process. All of these changes are a process that starts with daily decisions and then those compound over time. Yeah,
because if you've not ever used a budget, it's going to be painful, right?
Yeah.
Growth is meant, in order to grow, whether you're lifting weights or whatever, those type of things, we can use those analogies. You've got to stretch and there's got to be some pain in order to get growth, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to stay in your comfort zone and get growth. So the budget is really that first thing to kind of create a little bit of pain there, create a little bit of a hesitation in your spending, to think about what you're spending those dollars on. And a 30-day budget, just a whole month going through it, figuring out what those expenses and looking back and kind of tracking those, obviously is the very first step.
Yes. The next concept, what I wanted to kind of parallel is the staycation. This is where you're not making big changes. You're just adjusting what you already do. So one of the things about my husband's job, he works for a parks department. He can work these baseball tournaments, softball tournaments, and make extra. And our first few years married, that would just kind of get sucked into the budget. It was not intentional what we did with it. We kind of would run through it. He would eat out a ton that weekend and spend, a good chunk of it because my husband can eat, y'all. He can eat some food. But what we did starting last year, we realized we've got kids that play travel sports and those expenses are a lot. They add up. You're talking, $600 just for the hotel for a weekend and things like that. So what we started doing was that goes into a separate account allocated for travel expenses and our vacation so that it makes him feel great because that money's going to fund things, which is really something that motivates him. But also it helps us stay in budget on these other expenses so that we don't have to stress about it. Yeah.
And that's, creating goals along with the budget. You've got to create some goals because if you just do the budget, it's just going to be painful, right?
Right.
You're just going to feel like you're constrained and you're not really achieving anything if you don't create some goals and say, okay, hey, the budget is my discipline in order to get to the goals that I want to create. So whether it's creating a vacation fund,
Mm-hmm.
creating a purchase, maybe there's a big purchase that you want to make. So using the short-term goals, the budget, those things will help you get towards those long-term goals that you want to achieve.
And I think, too, we're blessed to live in a state where there are a lot of things you can do that cost either little or nothing. We have so many nature trails and things that you can do as a family that don't have to cost a lot. So you can get creative. Again, staying kind of inside the rails of what you already have going on, you can still do things to bless your family, bless yourself without having to go crazy. If eating out was one of your targets, you could try. One of the things I've done in the past, like we challenge each other to come up with a really great recipe that we would make at home. And just the process of making it together is a fantastic experience for us. And then the last category is sabbaticals. Sometimes you just need to chill. Sometimes you just need to pause. Sometimes you find that habit that works really well for you and you need to make it a long-term habit instead. So just like a sabbatical is a complete break from something, I think sometimes in our financial lives, that's what we need.
Yeah. And the reason people take sabbaticals, I mean, number one, I would think burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Burnout is a real thing.
Yes.
And there's that's hard to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you're doing, whether it's something that you've been trying to, a goal that you're trying to obtain, maybe it's a weight loss and you get burnout on that and you just get to the point where I just give up, right? I've got to do something just completely different than what I've been doing. So that can be the same in finances. And I think sometimes you get to the point where you say, I'm just spending all of this. I've got all these bills. I've got unexpected expenses, and you just get to this point of just burnout and you just quit everything.
Yeah.
There's no discipline, right?
Yeah. There's got to be some balance.
Yeah. There's got to be some balance between that. And so I've never taken a sabbatical, from
I don't know that you'd know what to do with yourself.
I don't know if I'd know what to do, but I can see where if you were getting to the point of burnout, that just completely shutting it off and transitioning out of it to regroup and come back could be very beneficial.
And I think taking a minute to really pause and think about what habits serve your family and serve your financial goals and which habits are maybe inhibiting you from reaching those goals. Another kind of break, in my opinion, would be to say, okay, I'm done trying to live up to a standard that's unrealistic. We've had some people who they're hitting it so hard with their financial goals that they're not living. They're not being. We had a client, I don't want to say any names because they'll be listening, that they had a major family struggle over a purchase, and it wasn't even expensive, but it was something that like this spouse didn't want to let go of $1. This spouse would probably spend all their dollars. So they were having a hard time finding a happy medium, and we had to have a conversation about that. So again, sometimes you need to just step outside of the emotion of your financial situation and just take a vacation from that and really logically think through that. And, it may be that you're like a DIY trip taker and you have a great grasp on your ideal financial vacation. Maybe you need a personal trip advisor to help you along the way with some tips and tricks. And that's what we do. We help people look at the bigger picture and go, okay, which parts need to go to this person? Which parts don't really apply, to help them really plan that trip, because the longest vacation is your retirement.
Yeah. And I've, we can use this. We've used, and I thought this was just crazy when my wife came to me with this, but there was going to be a trip planner that planned our Disney trip, take the kids. And so.
And you were probably like, it's Disney. It can't be that hard, right?
Yes.
Did you know.
Yeah. Last time I was there, I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of it, but it wasn't that bad, right? It was just easy. But then once we went through that process and took the kids down there and I was in the middle of it, I was thinking, I'd be so overwhelmed if I tried to plan this out myself. And so just from the cost and time and this, it's, I don't call it a vacation going to Disney, but it's an experience,
it's
right?
Trip.
It's an experience. But in a lot of ways, when you get into the financial world and you're trying to, look at investments, look at it, savings rates, the difference between Roth and, IRA, all the different types of accounts and taxes and all those things, it's almost like you need a trip planner, right?
Yes.
In a lot of ways, we are that. We're creating that plan so people can, as they're walking through it, have some direction.
And more than anything, your life can kind of get on autopilot if you're not careful when it comes to your financial goals. And there's certain parts of your life that it's okay to do that with, but you do have to have check-ins with yourself and with your plan to make sure that everything is on track and getting you to that ultimate destination, which is hopefully retirement. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week on Talking Sense. We hope you've enjoyed talking vacations with us, even though it's a little bit different way to do it. And I appreciate you, Chad, so much for being here today. So we look forward to talking to you some more next week. Thanks for listening to Talking Sense. And if you like what you hear, make sure and subscribe to the podcast to get all the newest episodes. The Jim Wealth team is available to you 24/7 at info@getreadyforthefuture.com or by calling our offices at 866-653-PLAN. That's 866-653-7526. And while we like to have fun here, we're also financial advisors, and that means disclosures. You should personally consult a financial advisor before making any investment, and no strategy can assure success. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Independent Advisor Alliance. Independent Advisor Alliance and Jim Wealth Financial Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial.